What is up, guys? We are back. Thanks so much for watching another episode of Any Action Sportscast. I'm your host, Effie, and this week we're going to be going over UFC 282, Magomed Ankalaev versus Jan Blachowicz. Now, this is a change-up in the main event as the champion Jiří Procházka got injured and vacated his belt since he's going to be out over a year. Glover Teixeira declined to fight with Magomed Ankalaev and instead asking for Jan Blachowicz. UFC said no, and here we are. Magomed Ankalaev versus Jan Blachowicz in the main event at UFC 282. Now, the rest of the card should be pretty fun. We have the return of Darren Till. Paddy the Baddy is making his pay-per-view debut. Bryce Mitchell versus Ilia Topuria is going to be an absolute banger. And even on the prelims, Edmen Shahbazyan's, trying to make a comeback here. Chris Curtis is going to have a banger of a fight. It's a pretty exciting card. And before we get into the rest of the card, the whole card itself, do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and make sure to leave a comment and let me know what you think about our bets. So far, we have a 5-unit bet, a parlay, and another moneyline straight bet. So it's going to be a pretty big night for us, so let's get right into it. In the main event at UFC 282, we have Magomed Ankalaev taking on Jan Blachowicz for the light heavyweight belt. Magomed Ankalaev coming in with an 18-1 record, finds himself as a -275 favorite over the former champ coming in with a 29-9 record, sitting as a +210 underdog. There is a significant age gap in this fight as Jan Blachowicz comes in at 39 years old, whereas Magomed coming in at 30 years old in his prime. Magomed 5-0 in his last 5 fights, while Jan Blachowicz 4-1 in his last 5 fights, the only loss coming to Glover Teixeira where he lost his belt. I'm going with Magomed Ankalaev in this fight, and I'm super confident in this pick. It's a kind of a weird circumstance how we found ourselves in this fight in general. So Jiří Procházka got injured and the UFC immediately offered Glover Magomed. He says no. And then, like I said earlier, Magomed then gets Jan Blachowicz. The UFC's okay, Glover, sorry, but we're going to move on. And then, so the story is that Jan Blachowicz was flying over here to America to get into his camp because he was going to fight Magomed. And he finds out that he's fighting for the belt as he gets off the plane. So this dude flew to Vegas with no intentions to fighting for a belt. Now he's fighting short notice against Magomed Ankalaev, who I have to assume was staying ready, not getting ready for a title shot like this. Huge opportunity for the kid. The matter of the fact is, he's 30 years old. Jan Blachowicz is 39. His best days are behind him, and I get it. He has Polish power. He can knock out anybody at any moment of the fight. Really good check left hooks, really good left hook in general. One thing I do like about him is that he loves to go to the body and mix it up. He doesn't throw just one punch, and he throws in combination. But guys, he was getting backed up pretty easily by Glover Teixeira, and Glover Teixeira is 1,000 years old and isn't knock out anyone anytime soon. Magomed Ankalaev, while people out there might want to call him boring, I like to look at it as he's more methodical and patient. He picks his spots. If you try to rush him, he's going to be able to counter you. And if you just stand there, he's going to be able to pick you apart and win on points. So for the over-under on this fight, I actually think that it's going to go over, but I'm worried to play that because Jan Blachowicz is really bad off his back. Every time he gets put in a position where he has to use his grappling to get up, he doesn't. He gets out-controlled and not worked by, much, I don't say bigger guys, but better guys. We actually saw him use his offensive wrestling against Adesanya, which, credit to him, it was a smart move, but that grappling advantage or gap in grappling skill is not going to be there in this fight because I do think that Ankalaev is a better fighter. 30 years old, Russian from Dagestan, it's just too hard to go against him here. Guys, when he was 24 years old, he was winning regional championships in Russia against Maxim Grishin, who had at that time 30 pro fights. Magomed had 9 pro fights, and he's fighting at 24 years old against killers like that. Maxim Grishin's a pretty good UFC fighter at this point now. So this dude's been, fighting high-level guys for a long time. Him getting submitted by Paul Craig in that fight in his debut with 1 second left in the fight, man, people want to talk about, oh, that shows he has quit in him. But if you look at Jan Blachowicz in his title defense against Glover Teixeira, dude, that choke got in, and a split second later he tapped. He gave up easily. So I don't want to hear it. I think that was a good thing for Magomed to lose that fight like that because it just put more focus and made him more driven on him, or put more focus on him and more driven toward his goal to go, undefeated the rest of the way to the belt, which he has done. He did get dropped by Thiago Santos, which granted is a bad look, but man, Thiago Santos, while he does have no knees at that point in his career, he's dangerous. Magomed showed he was able to withstand and continue fighting and dominate that fight. So either if this fight goes to decision, that means that Magomed won the fight. If it doesn't, then that means that either Blachowicz knocked him out or Magomed was able to get him down and finish him out, pound him out early, because I think that honestly it's hard to play the over or fight goes the distance, because I think that if Magomed takes Jan Blachowicz down or gets the fight down, it might end like pretty quickly after. I just wasn't impressed at all. I don't know if it was Abu Dhabi fighting in the morning or sleeping with the racetrack or what on Fight Island, that Jan Blachowicz looked bad against Glover Teixeira. Looked way better against Rakic, and it sucked because we had money on that over and Rakic got hurt. Kind of weird though. Similar thing happened to Anthony Smith in Magomed's fight, his most recent fight. But guys, to wrap it up, I'm going with Magomed Ankalaev. 4 units with 1 unit spread on a parlay. So in total, we have a 5 unit wager or exposure, I guess you could say, on Magomed Ankalaev here at minus 250. I'm super confident in this pick. I think that the Dagestani takeover continues and Anu Ankalaev wins via decision. Up next is the people's main event, Paddy the Baddy taking on Jared the Flash Gordon. Paddy the Baddy coming in with a 19-3 record, finding himself as a minus 250 favorite. Jared Gordon on the other side comes in with a 19-5 record, sitting as a plus 200 underdog. There's another significant age gap in this fight, with Paddy the Baddy coming in at 27 years old, where Jared Gordon coming in at 34 years old. Jared Gordon 4-1 in his last 5 fights, with the only loss coming against Grant Dawson, who is a dog in my opinion. On the other side, Paddy the Baddy, obviously 3-0 in the UFC, still hasn't seen round 3, and ultimately getting a pretty good test in my opinion here in Jared Gordon. Now, let's start with that line. Paddy the Baddy is minus 250. Now, this is expected. He was earlier around minus 190, minus 195, and he's gotten ballooned all the way to 250. And his fan base, you know, it's one of those things where that's probably going to happen in all of his fights, regardless of it's, you know, the right move or whatnot. But Jared Gordon, man, he's no slouch. You know, 15-fight UFC veteran, 11-4 in the UFC. Been finishing all of his pro losses, but he's been in there with high-level grapplers, and he's held his own. He's proven to be a hard guy to submit, and I really do think that Paddy the Baddy is going to have to go to the 3rd round for the first time in the UFC this fight. He will have a 5-inch reach advantage over Jared Gordon, and I think he's going to have to use it here. Paddy the Baddy's striking defense really has not been very good in the UFC. He dropped around Jared Levitt. He got outstruck by Jared Levitt. It's never a good look. He got clipped hard in that first fight of his UFC career. But it's one of those things, 27 years old, Cage Warriors champion. I expect him to improve fight camp to fight camp. I don't predict or foresee a Molly McCann, you know, type scenario where she gets mauled, the hype train gets derailed. I think it continues here. I think Paddy the Baddy will either get a submission here late in the fight or win a decision for the first time in the UFC. Let's go, Paddy the Baddy. I think he gets it done via decision. Next is an absolute banger in the middleweight division, where we have Darren Till making his comeback fight versus Dricus du Plessis. Darren Till comes in with an 18-4-1 record. Dricus du Plessis 17-2. Dricus du Plessis has actually been bet all the way up to minus 190. Darren Till come back on the underdog plus 160. Pretty similar height and reach. Yeah, Dricus du Plessis, man, 3-0 in the UFC, coming off being bad Tavares via decision, his only decision win in his career. On the other side, you know, Darren Till 1-5 or 1-4 in his last 5 fights, only win coming against Kevin Gastelum, who's also 5 in his last 6. So, you know, not the best run here for Darren Till. But man, I'm going with Dricus du Plessis here. We bet on him at minus 140, 1.4 units to win 1. And I just can't trust Darren Till here. I get the whole Khamzat Chimaev thing, the whole, you know, Smash Bros thing. And I actually do like the fact that he went to Bang Tao and Tiger Muay Thai for this camp out there in Thailand. He's really going to need to improve here in this fight. He did drop Robert Whittaker, which was a good sign. But man, against Brunson, he just kind of mailed it in. I know he was injured in the fight. And he was also injured in the Robert Whittaker fight. But that's not a good look. If anything, it shows you he's very fragile. Like I said, it's crazy to me. He's only 29 years old. I feel like he has a ton of miles on him, even though he's very inactive. With him, it's like you're kind of hoping on him to win via knockout if you're going to bet on Darren Till here, because he throws absolutely no volume, guys. If you look at his stats, I'm not a big stat guy, but if you look at his stats, and it shows when you watch the fights, he has landed in 11 UFC fights 2 punches or 2 significant strikes, I should say, per minute. That's terrible. You're not going to win like that. You're not going to go back to fighting for a belt like that, and you're not going to beat a killer like Dricus du Plessis here, who we've seen can be there still fighting really strong in that 3rd round. Brad Tavares is a hell of a chin. He's Hawaiian, and it was hard to put him out. And you kind of see that a lot with guys going through and killing their lower level competition. They get in a higher level of competition and opponent, and they go to a decision. But man, I love Dricus du Plessis here. He throws in combination. He loves to rip the body. And I just can't trust Darren Till, man. Ultimately, this is a fade on Darren Till. I am taking Dricus du Plessis 1.4 units at -140. Man, I just can't trust Darren Till, man. He hasn't knocked out anyone in like 50 years. He hasn't knocked down anyone other than Robert Whittaker. I mean, he just doesn't look good, dude. Up next, though, guys, is a banger of a fight. My main event, other than the Paddy fight. Bryce Thug Nasty Mitchell taking on Ilia Topuria. Ilia Topuria, both these fighters actually coming in undefeated. Someone's always got to go. Ilia Topuria coming in 12-0, finds himself as a favorite, and his line has been crashing. Right now, he currently sits as a -155 favorite. On the other side, Bryce Mitchell, people have been betting on him, coming in as a +120 underdog with a 15-0 record, undefeated as well. He was +140, 145 earlier in the week, and money's been steady coming in on him, and I get it. When I watch tape on both these guys, I mean, it's so hard to say what we're going to see from Bryce, because he's improved so much, man. He blew me away in that Barbosa fight. He looked amazing. He mauled him. Barbosa's an elite striker, a legit striker, a dangerous striker, and he nullified that immediately. One of those fighters where he's kind of, shaping to be one takedown a round is all you need type fighter. It's one of those like the memes, America, we have a Khabib. That's Bryce Mitchell right now. He's doing legit stuff on the mat. He's taking guys down and holding them down, and he has a gas tank to match. I will say, that's the one thing that worries me about Ilia Topuria. I love him. I love betting on him. We've bet on him in the past. We've locked the night him, 5-unit him in the past. But man, the one thing that I will say is he's only fought in the third round one time. He's been in the round 3 one time, and it was on short notice when he made his UFC debut against Yusuf Zalal. And he got reversed multiple times in that fight, and ultimately, he was gassing bad in that third round and just hoping for the bell. He was looking at the clock. It was bad. His body language was bad. He death gassed in round 3. Luckily, he survived. He ended up winning the decision. And other than that, he's pretty much dominated every single person he's fought. The Ryan Hall win was really weird, but a good win, especially considering the submission threat that Hall presents. The Damon Jackson fight, body shots that led to that knockout. He's one of my favorite body shot punchers in the whole UFC. Half Spaniard, half Georgian. He reps both. The guy's a killer, man. But the thing with that Zalal fight, like while it did go to round 3 and he was on short notice and he did gas out, there was multiple times where he could have gotten submission. If he gets Bryce in those positions, I'm interested to see how he's going to do, because we've only seen Bryce really reverse multiple times over and over again in that Feely fight. Other than that, he's pretty much been able to hold guys down and keep them there. Feely multiple times was able to reverse position and get out of vulnerable spots many times, and that gives me faith in Topuria here. But I think that he has 2 rounds to do it, because if he doesn't do that in that third round, I think that Bryce is going to be coming on strong, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Ilia struggle with the weight cut. We did see him have to go up to 155, where he did get dropped in London, and then now back down to 145 because he botched the weight cut. I wouldn't be surprised to see him gas out in that third round and Bryce Mitchell have his way. With all the grappling exchanges that I expect to happen in this fight, I wouldn't be surprised to see fight end in submission here. Maybe take a look at that prop. But on the feet, Ilia Topuria is so dangerous. He's so fast. He throws everything into his strikes, which leads to him gassing. And Bryce Mitchell, he's improved, man. He was pretty one-dimensional earlier in his career, but man, he's improving in his striking for sure. I am going to go with Ilia Topuria in this fight. I think he's going to finish Bryce Mitchell in the second round of this fight via knockout or maybe some ground and pound after. Because I just think that Bryce won't be able to get this fight down over and over again to the point where he'll be safe all 3 rounds. I don't think it's going to be one of those fights where just one takedown and he's good. I think that Topuria has a good enough get-up game, at least for the first 10 minutes, to get him out of there. So give me Ilia Topuria via second round knockout. Up next, we have a heavyweight banger between Biggie Boy Rozenstruik and Chris Daukaus. Biggie Boy comes in on a 2-fight losing streak with a 12-4 record, currently sitting as a -170 favorite. Chris Daukaus also on a 2-fight losing streak, coming in with a 12-5 record, currently sitting as a +145 underdog. I think that Chris Daukaus is going to get knocked out here by Biggie Boy, but I'm just not betting on this fight. Maybe bet on fight to end via knockout as a parlay piece, because 100% someone's going to get slept here. Biggie Boy just doesn't throw enough volume for my liking. He's more of a counter puncher, waiting for you to rush in and catch you on the way in. He's 1-4 in his last 5 fights. He's been knocked out twice in a row. That Volkov performance was really bad. Volkov just pounded him out, got him out there early. Both these guys lost to Curtis Blades really bad. Curtis Blades is one of the top heavyweights in the world, though, so, what can you say? Neither of these guys are ever going to fight for the belt, in my opinion, but I do think that Chris Daukaus is just a tier lower than Biggie Boy here. Biggie Boy just has that touch of death. Chris Daukaus does, have some good knockouts on his record as well. He's on a 2-fight losing streak where he just came back too quickly after getting knocked out. Derek Lewis absolutely blasted his face. It was bad. He's been knocked out pretty viciously and taken some serious damage throughout his career. I don't see him improving that much. He's kind of small for a heavyweight. I can see him more as a light heavyweight. So give me Rozenstruik to win via knockout in the first round, which is going to be hard because he throws like one punch every 4 minutes. I'm expecting him to counter Daukaus. Daukaus throws way more. He's going to have way more volume, and I think that's going to lead him to getting countered and put out here. It's going to be nice for both these guys. Not Daukaus, because Daukaus lost the Blades in the regular cage, but it's going to be nice for Biggie Boy to get out of that octagon in the Apex and fight with more space, so that should help him out for sure. Up next is a fight that I really am interested to talk about because I'm on the dog here. Perrin taking on the UFC debutant, 18-year-old Raul Rosas Jr. Now, Perrin, the Joker, comes in on a 2-fight losing streak, 10-6, currently sitting as a plus 200 underdog. Raul Rosas, the 18-year-old, coming in undefeated, 6-0, sitting as a minus 220 favorite. Now, the tail of the tape. Perrin, 29 years old. Rosas, 18 years old. Rosas will be 2 inches shorter and have a 2-inch reach advantage over Rosas. Now, Rosas came on the scene, Dana White Contender Series, won that fight, and looked good, man. It's insane that this kid is so young and how good he looks in the octagon. It's pretty wild. Definitely like a phenom. But man, he's getting Perrin, and granted, he's 0-2 in the UFC, Perrin, and he's lost both fights. He's got clipped real bad in his last fight. I was actually at that fight in Salt Lake City, and man, I think he is allowed to win this fight because the way Rosas Jr. likes to win his fights, he likes to get guys down. His grappling, his jiu-jitsu is elite. I'll give him that hand up. It's true. The guy is a savage on the mat. But if he ever comes across a guy, which, let's be honest, it's only happened one time in the Contender Series, that can defend his takedowns and maybe even reverse him and extend the fight, he doesn't look as fast and or as quick on the mat. On the feet, he definitely doesn't look very good at all. I definitely lean Perrin on the feet. Although Rosa is longer here, or sorry, he has a reach disadvantage, but it doesn't look like that when he fights. He throws spinning stuff, wild jumping kicks, flying knees. It's very flashy the way he strikes. Whereas Perrin is more quick, technical to the punch, and I just think that he's going to still be there. I think that Perrin is going to be able to extend this fight and win a decision here. I think that he has the tools of grappling to not get submitted by Rosa here. We do have our boy Shane Shapiro, who submitted Bobby Green and who's the other one? Feely in like 40 seconds combined, coaching Perrin. So I'm hoping from Perrin wins for Shapiro BJJ. Shout out to them out here in Vegas. I'm rooting for Perrin. I think he gets it done for his first UFC win over an 18-year-old, who, in my opinion, is getting put in the UFC too fast, man. I don't know why he's in the UFC this young. Let him develop more. Give him another Contender Series fight. I just don't see Perrin losing to an 18-year-old. Give me Perrin via decision. Last quick thing on that Rosas Perrin fight. Rosas' opponent on the Contender Series kept making dumb mistakes when he had top position. Instead of going for some ground and pound, he kept going for submissions and getting reversed by Rosas. He probably should have let him up and got the fight to the feet, where he probably had a way better chance other than extending the grappling exchanges and getting reversed over and over again by someone that was way better at grappling than he was. So I feel like a fighter with a higher level IQ would have gave Rosas a much tougher and closer fight. I really like that Perrin plus 200 line, and I might find myself sprinkling a bet on that later in the week. Up next, though, keeping it going, we have a middleweight fight between Edmen Shahbazyan and Dalcha Lungiambula. Both of these fighters are riding 3-fight losing streaks, and they're both at crossroads. A little bit different for Dalcha. He's 35 years old. Edmen Shahbazyan, 25. Huge 10-year age gap in this fight. But it's pretty funny, man. Edmen Shahbazyan, riding a 3-fight losing streak, finds himself as minus 300 favorite over Dalcha. The UFC knows what they're doing. They're trying to get this kid back on track. The thing is, Dalcha's going to be super live for a KO early in this fight. If you've seen this guy fight, you know he can crack. although he, like I said, he's riding a 3-fight losing streak, it's not like he's looked like a bum the whole time every single one of those fights. He gave Puna a really close, I won't say close fight, but he looked good for moments in the beginning of that fight until ultimately he got finished. But dude, one look at the guy and you could tell he's dangerous. His traps were like up to his ears. The guy is jacked. But that's the thing. He's too jacked to have a gas tank. This guy can't last 5 minutes. This guy can't, well, he can last 5 minutes. He can't last 15 minutes. Once it gets past the first round, I expect him to fade here. Edmen has taken a significant amount of time off, moved gyms, and has finally landed at Extreme Couture. He's saying that he's guaranteeing a win in this fight, and sitting at minus 300, 25-year-old riding a 3-fight losing streak, man, he better come through. I'm not going to be touching this fight or betting it at all. I like fight doesn't go the distance, but that's probably juice to the gills. Give me Edmen Shahbazyan to win via second round knockout. I feel like Lungiambula is going to give him a tough little like tornado, like a war in that first round, and Edmen is going to be able to survive that fury and extend the fight, get to that second round, and put him away there. I'm not going to give up on Edmen yet. I do have faith, and I'm rooting for the kid. Tough run. He got kind of pushed a little too fast, in my opinion. So I think he gets back on track here with the fight against a guy that's 10 years older than him and on 3-fight losing streak. Up next, though, Curtis, another banger, man. Curtis versus Joaquin Buckley, New Mensa. Joaquin Buckley comes in with a 15-5 record, currently a minus 150 favorite. Chris Curtis, 29-9, sitting at a plus 125 underdog, coming off losing against Jack Hermanson on short notice, where he essentially lost the fight because he couldn't cut off the cage. He was chasing Jack Hermanson around the whole time, and he couldn't do anything about it. Like, he couldn't get to Jack, and you could tell he was getting frustrated. His body language, it was one of those fights where he was yelling at the guy, like, come on, blah, blah, blah. You hate to see it. But ultimately, I do think that he is a good fighter. We saw what he did against Brendan Allen. He kind of came onto the UFC and made an immediate impact. He definitely took advantage over the opportunities he was given, racking up some quick knockout wins. And Brendan Allen he knocked out. Joaquin Buckley, on the other hand, has that crazy viral knockout, spinning knockout over... what was the guy's name? He's out of the UFC anymore. I forget his name. No. I forget his name. I feel bad because he wasn't that bad. Let me see, hold on. This is bugging me. Impa Kasaganai. Impa, bro. Shout out to Impa. Yeah, that knockout was crazy. This guy's powerful, man. He can put people out at any moment in the fight. I really like the fact that he beat Abdul Al-Zakah Hassan. Abdul was like a straight KO artist. All he can do is knock you out. He has insane power, and he was able to withstand that fight and win. Both guys were pretty dead tired at the end of the fight, but that is a good sign to withstand that power. Curtis Blaydes is probably more well-rounded, his more professional experience, while Buckley has more experience in the UFC. It's going to be a close fight, man. That's why it's lined so closely. I do think that earlier in the week, I saw Curtis at plus 140, so to see him at plus 125 means that money's been coming in on him. I feel like people are expecting him to get back on track after losing to Jack Hermanson. A tough fight, a tough matchup, stylistic matchup, definitely on short notice. I don't think there's anything swaying me one way or the other to have action on this fight, so it's going to be a big fat pass for me. But I'm picking Joaquin Buckley to win this fight because I did like what I saw against Nasruddin Inamimov. I don't know how to say his last name. Man, I'm sucking ass today. I'm doing John Anik a disgrace today. But yeah, man, I liked what he saw. I rate Nasruddin really high, and he was in the whole fight. He gave him a good fight. There was moments where he was this close to landing a knockout punch, and when it's time to get to, throw down and make a fight or brawl, he'll be in the fight. Same with Chris Curtis. I don't know. Maybe fight doesn't go the distance is the way to go. Maybe look at that under. But I'm gonna go ahead and pass, not touching this fight, and I'm picking Joaquin Buckley to win via decision. And up next, man, the bangers keep going. This is where the fight, like from bottom up, this is where the fight really starts. I know we went from top down, but when you're watching it live, this is like the first real banger of the fight, card. Even though that first fight's gonna finish in like 2 minutes probably. We have Billy Quarantillo, Billy Q, taking on Alex Hernandez. He's welcoming him to the 145 division, featherweight division. Alex going down from 155 to 145. Pretty surprising for a young kid. So yeah, Alex comes in with a 13-5 record, currently has a plus 135 underdog. Billy Q coming in 16-4 record, sitting as a minus 165 favorite. Hernandez will be 4 years younger with a 2-inch reach advantage and will be 1 inch shorter. It's funny, he's gonna be the shorter, stockier guy. This guy's fought at 155 his whole career, and he was a big 155er. I'm pretty surprised at this move. I was doing tape for this, studying this fight, and I was like, wait a second, let's say 1 foot. Holy crap, why is he going down? I didn't really look into it, couldn't find any interviews on why he's doing it. But yeah, I mean, if we're talking about Hernandez, he's coming off getting finished by Moicano. Moicano is actually surging right now. You see what he's doing right now with his career, so not that bad of a loss, but that's one thing we've noticed from Hernandez. When he steps up in competition, he tends to get finished. He can beat the lower level guys, but I mean, that Breeden knockout, I think I tweeted it out. I was like watching it, and because you know the fight ends early, because obviously you know the result before you watch the fight, but like you're kind of watching it to see how he sets up with the knockout, and he like threw his fucking fist through his head. It was hilarious. He like threw him to the ground. It took his soul pretty much, and dude, Breeden's not very good. On the other side though, Billy Q coming off like a fight of the year contender that got overshadowed by Gaethje and Chandler against Shane Burgos. Shane Burgos, you know, obviously not in the UFC anymore, in the PFL, but Shane Burgos is a big 145er and a powerful 145er, and Billy took a lot of damage. So it's showing me that he's very durable, and it was a good call for him to take that much time off. I think it's over a year. I think it's 1 year he's taken off without fighting since that fight. He took a lot of damage. So he's 34 years old, taking a year off after taking a ton of damage against Shane Burgos. I am still picking Billy Q to win this fight, and I think that he has a chance to finish the fight because he throws way more volume, or at least we can depend on him to throw way more volume than Hernandez. We haven't seen Hernandez at 145 ever. He is 4 years younger than Billy here. He's gonna be 30 compared to Billy's 34. You know, he's in his prime. Hernandez is going down a weight class where I thought he was already big for 155. Man, I just can't depend on him here. At 165, I think that the strikes can accumulate. Maybe we see Hernandez start to fade here, and I think Billy Q gets it done late or via decision. So I'm going Billy Q to win this fight via decision. And now it's time for the most important part of the show. It's time to go over our official bets for UFC 282. So far, we have 3 bets, 2 moneyline bets, and 1 parlay. Bet number 1, Dricus du Plessis minus 140 at 1.4 units. I do think that I feel comfortable fading Darren Till at this price, and this line is actually moved. Du Plessis is minus 175, 180 at most books now, so that makes me feel good that we got the value on this line. Darren Till is just going to have to prove it to me. I feel totally fine backing someone like Du Plessis, who's definitely going to fight for our money. Darren Till just doesn't have enough volume, for my opinion, to feel safe backing him at plus money, and unless you're betting on him to win, I would just bet him to win via knockout. Give me Du Plessis minus 140 for 1.4 units. Bet number 2, a parlay, 2 legs, at plus 101 odds. The first leg, Magomed and Ankalaev, minus 260. Second leg, Paddy Pimblett, minus 220. Now, this is a co-main and main event parlay, so essentially, we're going to be waiting the whole night for this bet to start. But I do feel confident. That Paddy line is a bit wide for my liking. I wish I would have got on it a little bit earlier, considering how low it was. But whatever, what can you do? I feel safe about this parlay. I feel like both guys should win fairly easily, and both guys are going to get their hands raised. Which brings us to our bet number 3. Usually on this show, when we have a lock of the night, we lay 5 units on one bet. But since we already have 1.25 units on Magomed, parlayed with Paddy the Batty, we're going to lay 4 units on Magomed and Ankalaev minus 250. I feel extremely confident about this pick, guys. We have lock of the nighted Magomed before, and he's come through before. And we're going to do it again. He's going to do it again. He's going to bring home the belt to Dagestan. The Russian takeover is going to continue on Saturday. And I just trust the guy, man. He has really good fight IQ, really good striking defense, fighting a powerful striker. It's not the first time he's fought a guy that has KO power. And it always helps to have that grappling advantage in your back pocket. I think that the aging 39-year-old Don is just past his best days. I feel like it's Magomed's time, and he's going to take that belt. We're going to be, in for maybe a boring fight in the main event, but I don't care. I'm betting big on Magomed and Ankalaev to beat Jan Blachowicz and to become the new light heavyweight champion of the UFC. So that's our video, guys. Thanks so much for watching. If you made it this far, make sure you hit that like button and leave a comment. Let me know what you think about me risking 5.25 units on Magomed and Ankalaev. Paddy the Batty's line's a little bit inflated. Let me know what you think about that. Good luck on all your bets this week, guys. Should be an exciting card. Super excited to have a pay-per-view. It's always fun going to work. Everything hits different on a pay-per-view. Everything is better on a pay-per-view week. Like I said, man, thanks so much for the support. Really appreciate it. We're almost at 140 subscribers. Gonna hit it here soon. And yeah, man, good luck on your bets, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace.